Perfect.
What's up, everyone? This is Bill. Today I got a video for you. We're going to do an installation of the WBCX. This is the new wideband module that goes with the PV3 from dynojet. Okay, so I got the PV3, and if you follow the build on Gromzilla on my bike, it's a 2018 Honda Grom. Right now it uses Power Commander 5, wideband 2 with auto tune, and I have an air to fuel ratio gauge. I have the Pod 300. I also have the PV3. So I have the ECU flash. The bike runs in open loop. It's using Power Commander 5 to control two-step launch control, a real two-step launch control that actually works, and then not just spitting and popping and releasing some flames. And then it uses the Power Commander 5 to also control the dynojet quick shift that works with PC5. Okay, so, and then the wideband that's plugged into the Power Commander 5, I'm able to use that to monitor my air-to-fuel ratio with an air-to-fuel ratio gauge by dynojet. And then I'm also able to use the auto-tune feature. And since the bike's running in open loop, we can use auto-tune to make fuel adjustments across the board, not just 80 to 100% throttle. And then you can transfer those fuel tables over to the PV3 map that's flashed to the ECU. So eventually what you're doing is you're using Power Commander 5 to build a custom map for the bike on whatever fuel you desire. Okay, so what we're going to do today, I've got the wideband. The old wideband is uninstalled. Power Commander 5, all the settings are at 0. It is not doing anything. It can't use auto-tune because the wideband's gone. So Power Commander 5 is just sitting there, and it is only plugged in to the ECU and the quick shift and the two-step launch control. So that's all Power Commander 5 is doing, is two-step launch control and the quick shift. Okay, so we're going to be relying strictly on the new wideband device, the WBCX, and we're going to use it to tune the bike, and along with the PV3. So I'll show you what all. I do have an unboxing video, so you guys can go look at that, and it'll go into more detail on what you get in the box. But this is the WBCX module. Okay, it has 2 CAN bus ports. Then it has the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wire. That is going to be what's coming off your O2 sensor. It does come with a Bosch O2 sensor. Okay, so it does come with this. I believe it's 18 millimeter standard size O2 sensor. It's already got the thread sealant on it. Okay, so this is a Bosch 6 wire. Okay, so this is going to go in your exhaust. You want it only, on mine it's about 4 or 5 inches away from the actual head. Okay, and then this is going to go, it's a very simple setup, a lot simpler than the old wideband device. So this is going to go O2 sensor, and then you got your plug. This plug is going to run up underneath the seat or wherever you're going to mount it. I'm going to mount it under the seat. Okay, so then this will plug in down there to the O2 sensor. And then this wire will run up on the handlebars if you're actually going to mount it. If you're actually going to mount the PV3. Okay, so this will go plug into your diagnostics port. This plugs into the module itself on the CAN bus port. Right there like so. And then this gets run up, this will run up by the handlebars. This is what plugs into the PV3. Okay, so the first thing we're going to have to do, let's run a little time-lapse video. I have to uninstall the old cable for the PV3 because it does not have this CAN bus wire coming off of it. Okay, so and they did do a longer wire. Okay, so first thing I got to do is uninstall that old wire that goes up for the PV3. I'll let you see what's on the bike right now, the way it sits. Okay, so let's take a walk around the bike the way it sits right now. Here's the bike itself. Okay, so like I said, this cable is going into my PV3, which is mounted right here. Okay, so I have PV3 mounted here. This is the Pod 300, which also gives me the quick shift light, or the shift light, because I tapped into one of the wires that go inside to the alarm lights. and then this CAN bus cable goes back to Power Commander 5, which is under the seat. Okay, so that just lets you monitor everything, because I have the speed sensor is plugged into it, the engine temperature is plugged into it, so that lets you monitor everything. I still can leave that on the bike, but absolutely it's not necessary. You could run just the PV3 and the new wideband device, the WBCX, and you could do a complete tune and have all your gauges up here, because now you're going to be able to monitor AFR up here after you do the software update. Okay, so we're going to have to remove this cable and install the new cable, and the old cable goes right here. This is it right here, plugged into the diagnostics port. Okay, and your bike's going to look quite a bit different. I mean, this has the lithium battery, it's got the charger back here. Tip over sensor has been relocated because of my fender delete kit from TST Industries. So your bike's going to look a little different. You're not going to have near as much wires and cluster, especially if you just run the PV3 and the new wideband device. It's going to be a very clean setup. Okay, and then so we have the side panels all removed on the bike already. You are going to have to take at least this side off. My suggestion, if you don't have the bung installed already, so as you can see, this exhaust setup, I have that already welded up. I took it to a local shop here over at Trill Performance and let them weld it up. Okay, so it already has a bung here, and I just run my wire right here, and then this piece that covers your front sprocket covers up the wire, and then the wire can run right up here underneath the plastic. Okay, and that plug sits right about here, and then comes up and goes plugged into your wideband device. Okay, so I've already uninstalled the one that was with the old wideband, and something to keep in mind, if you already had a wideband and Power Commander 5 installed, that wideband with the plug and the 6 wires is the identical Bosch 6-wire plug. Okay, so you don't have to uninstall that. I did for this video purpose. I want to start from scratch, but you don't have to uninstall that. You could use that same one that you've already wired up here under the seat. Those same 6 wires are the same color code that's on the new WBCX wideband device. They're the same wires. Okay. Okay, so we'll just run a little time lapse. Let me get this wire out of here. We got to cut some zip ties. It's pretty simple to run it up there, so we got to get that guy off there. Okay, now we got that wire uninstalled. So as you can see here, this is the old wire that came with the PV3. Right, this is the wire that came with the PV3 originally. It has this little red wire hanging off of it, little bullet connector that you don't use. I think that's just for it says don't use it unless specified by dynojet. Okay. So a while back when they first came out with that guy, I requested that they make the wire longer, and obviously they have done that, because now, here you go, it's the new wire and the old wire ends here. So you got like another 2.5 feet of wire. And then you got this wire that would go to the CAN bus on the WBCX. Okay, so that's awesome. That shows you that testing and trial and error, giving feedback to the company that makes the product, definitely pays off, because they definitely got that right on that wire. Now longer. Very, very happy with that, because we were very limited with this wire doing an installation. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do is, let's see, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the wideband sensor. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, install the wideband sensor. This will plug into the wideband sensor. This will run up to underneath the seat or wherever you are going to mount your wideband device. Okay, so you'll need to figure that out and plan your wire, or your wire routing accordingly. This is plenty of wire though. This could pretty much be mounted anywhere on the bike. You could mount from wideband, you could mount to the back, to the front, anywhere. Okay, the easiest spots can be under the seat on top of that battery. with the double-sided Velcro that comes in the box. Okay, so then we'll run this wire, then we'll run this wire, which I have the PV3 mounted up on my handlebars. Okay, we'll run this wire so it can reach the port there and reach the wideband device. So we want to make sure that it can reach both. Okay, so once these wires are all in place, then we will mount the wideband after we get those wires plugged in. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start with the Bosch 6-wire O2 sensor. Okay, we'll start there. So I'll run a time lapse, me installing this stuff. Shouldn't take too long. I'll show you what it looks like after I finish it. If I run into any troubles on the way, I will stop and record a video on how to get around the problems. Main thing we're doing is running wire. Okay, so as you can see here, we got our wires ran. What I've done, there is a little piece with a hole in it on this clip. Okay, now there is a spot where you can plug in up on top of this little cover, and you can hook that there if you want, but if you really want to get it up under the plastic, run it up here and tuck it away. Okay, so that's what I've done. That's zip tied up in place. You can see this little seam right here. That's where my quick shift wire runs, and that's where our wideband wire is going to run. Okay, so we're running that. Okay, and then our wire for the 6-wire is going up here under the seat, and then our wire for the PV3 is right here, which comes up and goes right up here to where we mount it. Okay, so we've got that fitted up. We use a nice big heavy black zip tie so it keeps a clean look up here on the factory wire harness. And we just ran it up under the handlebars and back through. So we can go like this and plug it in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to connect our wideband device. You'll see on the bottom it uses flathead screws. It has holes in the side. They're color coded. You can't mess this up. If you do mess this up, it ain't going to work right. So don't mess it up. Okay, so we're going to plug in each one of these to the side of the wideband device, the WBCX. This is going to go to the diagnostics port. This is going to run right up here to the wideband device also. Okay, so you need to have all this be accessible, and then we're going to tuck the wire. We're going to coil the wire up right in this little pocket here and zip tie it out of the way so it's a nice and clean look. When you put the plastic back on, everything will look like it's cut to fit. Okay, so let's get started with that. Get that little wideband device plugged in. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind, the seat is going to sit right along these bars. So you cannot have nothing right here. You can have stuff behind it all across the bar here a little bit, and that'll be fine. You cannot have nothing right in line with these bars. That's where the rubber pads on the bottom of the seat sit right there and there. Okay, so you need to be careful of that. Also, don't forget to put in your rubber plug that it comes with in the kit. Okay, you're going to have to cut one tab off. Some devices that dynojet has would use all of them. Use the 7. This is going to use 6. Okay, and then you can refer back to this video. This is just a sticker on here that color codes it. If you lose that sticker, you'll have no idea what order those wires go in. Okay, so if you look, we'll call this the top. This is dynojet, so we'll call this the top right here. Holding it like that. So if we look from the back, this is our top. It goes blue, red, yellow, black, gray, white. In that order. Make sure those are tucked in there good. That blue one, we're going to fix that a little bit. See how the wire is sticking out there? and get them down nice and snug. And they are a pain in the ass to put in, but they will go in. You're forcing them through a little rubber seal. And they're already soldered. Okay, so get those in there. We're going to mount this down. We're going to mount the Power Commander 5 back down. We're going to zip tie those wires out of the way, and we're going to put in this plug. Okay? We're going to mount it to this bar with the double-sided Velcro that comes in the kit. Okay, so we got the wideband module all installed. Okay, so you can see how I installed it here. Now, if it was the only device you had under here, you could run it long ways on that metal bar, and that would probably be a good fit. Thing to make sure of is just don't block these plugs or this spots right here where the pads from the seat sit. If you put the seat on without this plastic trim, you can see through here and here and here where it sits. Okay, so you can make sure that you have it out of the way so it's not going to be affected by the seat. Okay, so everything clears, everything is zip tied up. You see how we cleaned up this area. We just coiled these up, stuffed them, like I said, stuffed them in that pocket. Okay, we got our chain guard back on right here where the sprocket is. Okay, and like I said, the wire comes through right here. Okay, that's going to sit back out of the way behind the plastic. Then it comes down to your O2 sensor. This is a 7/8 wrench. We'll thread this into the bung, and you are going to have the bung welded in there if you don't have one already. Okay, so there you go. It's all wired up. This wire here comes up here for the PV3. So the next step will be go to the computer, download the software update. I'll include a link in the description for that software update for that guy. You'll have to update the firmware on the PV3, and then you'll be running wideband, and it is going to need tuned. It is not just going to work. Right, so you have to record a data log and open the data log in WinPep 8 and send it over to the C3 software with the tune open. There's quite a bit of steps to it. Okay, I'm going to learn everything I can about it. I get the gist of it, so in another video I will show you how to tune with wideband. Okay, so that's the end of this video. This was just simply an installation video. Okay, so there it is, all installed on Gromzilla. We're going to run it. We'll hopefully get the bike all dialed in. You got ISO Woodburn drag strip coming up on the 25th. Okay, so if you follow Gromzilla and you want to see it, that's the plan, is to be at IFO on the 25th and run it down the track, see what it does. Okay, anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Check the link in the description to go and purchase this guy, as well as download the software for the PV3. Okay, so that's the WBCX, the wideband device for the PV3.
Perfect.
You guys have a good one. Peace.